Good morning, everyone. My name is Mrs. Enilolubo. This morning, I want to speak on the topic discipline versus abuse. Now, we have a case, a scenario at hand where a teacher flogged a student for coming late repeatedly in the school. Then the student fainted and the parents reported the case back to the school. Now, the question now is identify what went wrong. Now, before the child was flogged, there are a lot of factors that could lead to the indiscipline act of coming late in the school. Now, one of the factor is indiscipline in the parts of the school. Now, if a school doesn't have a standing rules and regulation that will guide the running of the school, then late coming could be an habit for every pupils or students in that particular school. Now, if a school has a standing rules that will guide parents before you recruit students into the school should have a standing rules that parents will know about before you recruit them. If you do not give them a standing rules, once you recruit them, they will behave anyhow. Parents will behave anyhow, especially the growing school. They know that the growing school, they need enrollment for them to fit in. So this standing rules should be made compulsory for all parents, and they should be what? They should sign a document concerning that aspect of late coming. That is one of the things that I think went wrong. The school doesn't have a standing rule. Then indiscipline in the part of the parents too. Assuming there's a standing rule, then parents will try to abide. Now, if there's a standing rule and there's no follow-up with that standing rule, then abuse is what? Inevitable. That is point number one. And point number two is transfer of aggression from the part of the teachers. Teachers should not transfer aggression. Maybe at the point of maybe during the school time when the student came in, maybe the teacher had an issue and the teacher just transferred that aggression on the child. So that means teachers should always what? Have good attitude, good emotions, feelings when they are in the school premises. Whether in the school premises, they should keep their problems at home. Then once they come into the premises, transfer of aggression could also lead to excessive flogging of that child. And another thing that I think could go wrong is ignorance in the part of the teacher. We have teachers that are ignorant and not up to date. We should encourage them to be up to date. Some teachers don't know the rights of a child in the school. If they know the act, that this act, if you commit this act, is going to lead to a lot of problem. So flogging and beating and abuses will reduce in such an environment. So ignorance, I think, is a disease that could destroy the development of a school. So they should be enlightened. Teachers should be enlightened on the present day rules and regulations or activities that have changed, because things change frequently and regularly in our society. So they should be conversant with all those changes, so that if there's any change, the rules and regulation, the Child Rights Act, all of them should be aware of it. If you beat a child and this is the punishment, if we are aware of that, I think it will reduce that. And after that, another thing, inadequate orientation of teachers at the point of entry. When we want to employ teachers, we should employ the ones that are qualified. If we have a counselor at the point of employment, the counselor could be there. to see to the kind of teacher. The counselor will read your emotion, the kind of a teacher that that person will be at the point of recruitment. So orientation is very important. We should give them orientation. I think orientation was lacked in this aspect too. Then the alternative, okay, the Child's Rights Act says that that every child have a right to free and fair education. Then the environment of that education should be what? Conducive for learning. Not an abusive one, not the one that will hinder the child from learning. So that environment should be what? Conducive. It should not be an abusive one. The scenario of this teacher is an abusive one, because the child was flogged to the point of what? I think fainting. So the child could die. Yes, I want to say to the point of death, because this is a point of death. Maybe the child went halfway and God just what? Revived the child. So that is the act. Then what is the better alternative?
So for the better alternative, I would suggest one, counseling, like he told us earlier. We can call the student to the office and talk to him on her, or then they need to come to school early, how it will affect him or her in the future, things like that. Also, another alternative is modeling good behavior. Maybe on the assembly ground, maybe once or twice in a week, we can get gifts, or maybe certain privileges, or if it's a school that shares fruits or gives food or does, or any item within the week for such child that comes to school very early, we can on that particular day give the child excess fruits or excess meal, then call the child on the assembly ground and celebrate that child. And this particular student comes to school very early. By doing that, such the child or other pupils will learn from it. And even if their parents are habitual latecomers, they'll be the one asking the parent, Mommy, I need to get to school on time. Daddy, I need to get to school on time. Then the third one I have here is withholding privileges, which my team members are saying is wrong. I'm saying like by withholding certain privileges from that child, that maybe such will help the child to behave properly or come to school early. But my team members are saying is also a, what did you call it, madam? It's an abuse. So that's all I have to say. Thank you very much.
The way I get angry when I have a feeling that a school will discipline learner for lateness. In fact, I can't express it. Because these learners are helpless. My child can't go out before me. There are times that I worked all night, I woke up tired, I'm struggling to meet up with that 7:30 deadline. For my office, I can always sort myself out. But I'm even thinking about our own, and there's no way I will not get to school late. Usually it's the parents. Even though some parents will say, she's the one, I've been ready. How can, just imagine, how can your child be? I know I've seen some instances that even when we were small, then you find one of my neighbors, because I lived in an estate, so we should see ourselves when we are going to school. Some of them will be eating in the car. It's in the car there because you will not eat. Once their dad starts the car, like, if sometimes some of them will wear, that shoe, they will enter the car and pants like that. They will finish dressing up in the car. Once they start his car like this, all of you enter. If you don't enter, you are in trouble. So it's the parent too. That counseling will go to the parents. So it's the parent that will see, and then they said it's repeated. That means there's something. Maybe they are living far, or the parents just if parents is a late comer, normal, it does not value on time. That means you will not see the reason why the child should go early to school as well. So it's the parents. Yeah. You see, this is my position. In the report sheet you people used to give us, should be lateness used to be there. If the child misses out, let's say in the first period, and you have done test, Don't do another one for him now. Don't do another one. Yes, now in that lateness, give the child 0. You just put a report of the true situation. When the parents see it, when the child too see it, they used to look at it too. We don't know. They read it too. For me, when I was secondary, I used to read those things. Even neatness, all those things, responsive in class. Even parents look at and they take it seriously. Okay. But the most important thing is that caning may not solve it. It can lead to a problem ahead. So alternative actions is what we should look at. And one of it is counseling and any other incentive that we can, however we can do it. And if the child is still hell-bent on not changing, just leave the child. It will show in his academics, it will show in his reports. And it should be as simple as that. But what I see is that even in public schools, some teachers are too zealous and they end up causing problems for themselves.
But let me see it in a perspective of the secondary now.
Secondary private.
Secondary private, because I'm in a private organization. So, at times it's not the parents. The counseling shouldn't be to the parents directly, because I've seen several cases whereby the parents will call, will invite the parents. This child is getting to school very, very late. What is going on? Asking. Nothing disturbs him from coming very early. So I feel coming early to school by the students. I will use students this time around because that is my line. Some of them, they have what we call peer influence. Peer influence that is a must for me to wait for today before I come to school. It's a must for me for two of us to move together so that everybody in the neighborhood will be able to see us, that we are friends.
Jail. Someone has killed a learner by beating. A learner that may not have eaten or more. Even there are some people, once you shout at them, their system will just scatter, not to talk of beating. So the response cannot be violent.
The student used to come late, very, very late, around to 9, past 9. So there was a day his mate started calling him second principal 2. The following week, he started coming early because he was ashamed, calling principal 2. So that changed. Maybe he talked to his parents, or because we have reported it to his parents, we have even invited his parents. So maybe when the boy now saw that this thing is getting unbearable for him in school, even if his parents are not bringing him, he's coming himself. So if they are bringing him, they are bringing him early. If he's coming in early. He's coming in early. So he now start assembly with us. Even if he's not starting with us, but at least we still meet us on the assembly ground. Just because they have started calling him principal 2. So yes, everybody knows he comes late.
So there are ways that you expose bad behavior. I'm not saying we should encourage them abusing or call each other names, but there are ways you expose bad behavior that when they feel the shame, you are not shaming them, but you just expose it. You can decide to list on notice board. Those are always coming late. Those are coming. You get, when they see that, it's also a form of report. You have to another approach. You find another approach. So those remaining, you find another. You just have to find a positive approach without using an approach that will cause problem. Okay, let's have the second presentation.